Hello everyone, I'm Lakshmipriya and I'm going to be talking about the India's twin deficit problem. So in the recent few months we've been seeing the Indian economy navigating a complex macroeconomic environment. The rupee has been depreciating at to around 94 to 95 rupees per US dollar. Global crude oil prices remain elevated and the financial conditions worldwide are tightening. Simultaneously, India is confronting a twin deficit problem wherein India has a high fiscal deficit alongside a widening current account deficit. Now, let's look at the metrics before analyzing the situation. The fiscal deficit for financial year 2026-2027 is budgeted at approximately 4.3% of GDP, indicating substantial government borrowing requirements. On the external front, the current account deficit stands at roughly around 1.3% of GDP, driven primarily by elevated imports, particularly crude oil and energy products. Also, the recent LPG and broader energy supply disruptions stemming from geopolitical tensions and shipping constraints have further intensified this problem. These disruptions have increased cost of energy imports, raised domestic input costs across sectors, and exposed India's structural dependence on external energy sources. In parallel, persistently high interest rates in advanced economies have triggered capital outflows from emerging markets, including India. Collectively, these forces are exerting a sustained downward pressure on the Indian rupee and contributing to macroeconomic instability. Now, to analyze this situation, we turn to the Mundell Fleming model, which is an open economy extension of the ISLM framework. This model integrates three key markets: the IS curve, which represents the goods market, the LM curve, which represents the money market, and the BP curve, which represents the balance of payments curve. This provides a useful lens into understanding how basically the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, and the international capital flows jointly determine the interest rates, the output, and the exchange rate. If we look at India, we can see that India's elevated fiscal deficit and government expenditure results in a rightward shift of the IS curve, which increases the pressure on interest rates due to increased demand for funds. Now, this gives rise to crowding out effect whereby private investment is constrained as government borrowing absorbs available liquidity. While higher domestic interest rates can in theory attract higher foreign capital, global uncertainty and relatively higher returns in advanced economies often have limited such inflows. The expected stabilizing effect on the exchange rate is weakened and the rupee continues to face depreciation problems. So the current account deficit further compounds the problem because you can see that the elevated oil prices and the recent gas shortages have increased the import bill, widening the trade deficit and increasing the demand for foreign exchange. At the same time, energy shortages raise production costs across industries, contributing to cost push inflation and reducing the overall economic efficiency. This dual impact, which is the external imbalance and the domestic cost escalation, both also cause a downward pressure on the rupee. So, if we look at policy recommendations, you can see that fiscal consolidation has to be a priority, wherein you're gradually reducing the fiscal deficit, which will shift the IS curve leftward and it will ease the interest rates. And this will also mitigate the crowding out effect of the private investment. Secondly, India must undertake structural measures to reduce the current account deficit. This includes diversifying energy import sources, accelerating transition into renewable energy, and strengthening export competitiveness through manufacturing and services. Third, you have to also enhance energy security, wherein you are expanding strategic reserves, investing in domestic energy infrastructure, and improving supply chain resilience. It is also imperative for India to maintain macroeconomic credibility, wherein it includes like policy frameworks and inflation targeting, discipline, and continued financial sector stability, because this will ensure that there is stable capital inflows within the country. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.